Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we have a brand new tool in the shop, which I'm super excited about because I've always wanted one of these and I just never broke down and bought one. I do a lot of metal work, even the extensive stuff like cutting entire floor pans out of cars, and that's the type of work that I'm wanting this machine to do. In my opinion, there's gonna be no doubt that this will be able to handle that, but I've also got different thicknesses of metal up here that we're gonna try out today as well. This machine claims to do up to 3/4, which is just insane, especially with how small this machine is. So we've also got a piece of 1/2 inch mild steel right here in the middle, and we're gonna try that on a 110 receptacle. And for the 3/4, obviously we're not gonna be able to use a normal receptacle, but if this can do a 1/2 inch on a 110 receptacle, that's gonna be amazing because that's all that I will need this machine for. I don't think there's gonna be a scenario where I have to cut through some of that thicker stuff. So first of all, I'm gonna show you the machine and then we will kind of just go from there. All right, guys, so first of all, everything seems like it's very good quality. It's even got a little trigger guard here. So you have to push that up like that. That way, whenever you go to sit this down or if you drop it, it's not just gonna automatically kick that trigger on. I do like that. All this stuff, again, does feel very good. There's even a swivel connection down here at the bottom. So I like all that stuff. It does have a digital screen as well. It's not powered on, obviously, for audio right now. And then obviously you're gonna have your ground clamp. And then when you come to the back, you're gonna see that if you're not familiar with these plasma cutters, obviously it's just running on compressed air. It does have a barbed fitting right here. I had to switch it out and make a couple connections. That way I could put a quick connect on it. It does have a little water trap right there. So if there's any moisture in your lines, it's gonna drop down there and it's not gonna mess with your cut. So this line right here is a super easy, quick connect. You just literally push it in there and it seats itself. It will not come back out. And then it just loops back around to that. And like I said, I've just got a couple little adapters here. And then that way I can just put my normal style coupler straight into there. So right now I have the air setting on 55, and that seems to be pretty good for what I have cut. I just cut this one little test piece right here, just so I can make sure I had everything hooked up right. All right, guys, so now that we've got this machine running, we're gonna go ahead and do a couple of our test cuts here. I'll do one on the thinner stuff. I'll get you a nice close GoPro shot of that. And then we'll kind of look at that, see if we can clean it up. The first cut I did, there was a lot of slag hanging from the bottom of it. So we're gonna try to clean that up a little bit. And then we will then go on to all the other thicknesses. All right, so again, this first one, using the calipers here, is 3/16. So we're gonna go ahead and make that cut right now. All right, guys, so I did a couple cuts there, and as you can see, nice clean cut. There is a sag on the bottom of it, and I'm starting to think that it might be just how this material is not very wide, so we can, go to a thicker gauge thing. I should have got something that was a little wider so I could run a little longer, probably have a lot less heat in there. I think that's what the problem is down there. So honestly, it cuts through that without any issue whatsoever. It's nice and consistent. So let's go ahead and what I think is gonna be a big test is doing this on 110. So let's get this thing fired up and see what it does. Should have wore jeans for this one. All right, guys, so it did start cutting through that. As you can see down there on the bottom, it's just basically, I don't know, it's just like it's not got enough to just blast all the way through the bottom of that. So, and I ended up, with how long I was having to stay on it, I ended up tripping a breaker. So we are gonna have to end up going ahead and doing the rest of this cut. I'll just go ahead and do a fresh one on my generator, make sure that I've got plenty of power and that I'm not gonna be tripping breakers and fighting that. And then obviously we're gonna do this one. First of all though, I wanna do a very thin piece of metal and see how clean of a cut that is gonna make. Oh my goodness. All right, so I've cut a couple pieces there. That cut really well, actually. I had to turn the amperage way down because I was actually moving super fast to try to make it a nice cut, but it is actually a very, very good cut there. So I've got a circle drawn right here. I'm gonna try to see how good of a circle I can get. It's actually very, very good. There's not a lot, I'll flip the piece over here. There's not a lot of stuff hanging off the bottom of it. So, I mean, it's very minimal. And then once I sped it up, it cleaned it way, way up. So, that's pretty amazing there. I like that. All right, so it's just to try to demonstrate the speed of it, I'm just gonna go up here, get close to this thicker piece, and then just come over, just so you can see. And this is the lowest setting on the machine. All right, guys, so for the other two pieces, again, I'm gonna have to go near a door, and because I want to run a real short length of extension cord there, just to make sure that, you know, I'm not having any issues with the machine getting the power it needs. So I'm going to move all this stuff to where I can start my generator up, and then we will do these final two pieces. This one I'm very excited to see it cut through that. That's some thick material right there. All right, guys, so I've got the cable all the way running outside. I've got a 6-gauge cable for those of you wanting to do this. Basically, I've got a very thick extension cord that goes all the way outside to my generator, and I use this for if I'm welding and now if I'm doing some plasma cuttings. So now that we're all set up, I'm going to set my GoPro back down here and see if we can cut this 1/2 inch. Also, another thing I'm going to try is just, you know, mess around with it. One pass I'll maybe go pull, and then the other I'll push. Just switch it up. I don't know if it's gonna make any difference or not, but I will try both on camera. A lot better cut there. And basically after the cut, I just kind of took my finger and just did this to just clean up some of the stuff that you know, was not truly on there. So this is the stuff that's going to need grinding, obviously, and I would consider that minimal versus using like a cutoff wheel or something like that. It's going to take way longer. All right, guys, so for the grand finale, we're going to cut this steel here, and as you can see, it is 3/4 thick. So it's going to be pretty impressive if it cuts through this stuff, especially for how small this little machine is. So let's get the GoPro set up and see what happens. All right, we're gonna start over just a little bit behind that one. I got a hot piece of something in my shoe, so kind of hurt. But anyways, one should probably wear a boot for this, but hey, it's all right. All right, so as you can see, it did easily work its way down through there. I'm gonna try to slow down just a little bit so we can get the satisfaction of the piece actually falling down, just in case somebody says that it wasn't a clean cut. Nice cut there. I didn't do any grinding to this, I promise you. I just rolled it over like that. That's the underside, and I tapped it with a hammer just a couple times and it came right off of there. So you know, if you were trying to get this super flush, you'd have to do just a little bit of grinding, but I'm very, very impressed with how clean of a cut that is. All right, guys, so now we're kind of at the end of this, and I just give you my honest thoughts on it. So first of all, I think for what I'm trying to do, which, you know, I made it very clear whenever a recommendation was made, that I was doing automotive stuff and that I wouldn't be normally doing something like this 3/4, which obviously it did the job very well. You know, and I can't even really necessarily think of an application where I would need to use a 1/2 inch for what I do. 3/16, you know, that's very, very common, you know, maybe up to 3/8, like that's the stuff I'm normally dealing with. So as far as for what I would need it to do, it would be very convenient because obviously you can just drag a normal extension cord around and then not have to necessarily, you know, because like on this 1/2 inch, we had to crank this thing all the way up on a 110 receptacle. And obviously it was tripping breakers and doing that kind of thing. So, but then whenever we, you know, got out the generator, and of course you don't have to have a generator, you can, you know, wire in a specific receptacle in your panel. In my mind, it just seems like it's not that big of a deal to drag a generator and run an extension cord. So, but when we did do that, obviously we got really good cuts on both the 1/2 and the 3/4. So it did exactly what the machine was advertised to do. The machine appears to be very well built. I didn't have any issues with assembly or anything like that. However, one thing that I will say, I like to be honest on my reviews, and this regulator and how I had to put, you know, a hose to make an adapter. I just think that, you know, if you had a normal fitting out the side here that you could put a coupler in, like a quick connect coupler like I did right here, that would be so much easier in my opinion. That's going to be more likely of the scenario where people are going to be hooking up to it with air. So just for a fair critique, I definitely think that that should be something that just comes, you know, as a standard feature. But again, it's not that big of a deal. This has held up the entire time with a couple hose clamps and a short extension of hose, and then a couple barb adapters. So I didn't have any issues with it. It doesn't leak or anything like that. So again, it's not a big deal. I definitely wouldn't say that you should not buy this because of this regulator on the back. That's not a big deal at all. If you do end up purchasing this, I will go ahead and I'll, you know, link to the fittings that you're gonna need down below, just to give you, you know, that way whenever you buy it, you've got everything that you need, you know, ready to go. You can get it set up and just start cutting immediately. All right, so let's get into final thoughts and if I would recommend buying this machine. So I think that in my, you know, short time that I've been using this machine already, I find it to be working very good. And especially, you know, if you're gonna go above 3/4, which I don't know what trade you'd be in to be doing that. If you're gonna go above that, obviously this, you know, might not work the greatest for you, but I mean, it cut 3/4 relatively easily. You had to slow your cut speed way down, obviously, but 1/2 inch, anything lower than that. And I mean, I like all this stuff that we cut, we had no issue with. This 1/2 inch again on a 110 root receptacle. I'm not even gonna be cutting anything that thick with this. Normally, if you're messing around with this, you're gonna be out on a job, more than likely have a generator. Obviously, you're gonna have everything that you're gonna need in order to, you know, give this the proper power that it needs to make these cuts. So I definitely look forward to having this in the shop. I think it's gonna be amazing for cutting thin sheet metal. It made it look effortless, and it was good, clean cuts. And it also, it was cutting so well that it wasn't putting a lot of heat in the panel. So, you know, I could see myself, you know, as far as like a 1/4 panel goes, that kind of thing. I probably will never use a cutoff wheel again. I will stick to using this for everything. So I'm excited to see the difference whenever I actually get into those type of projects, what the difference is gonna be like, this versus cutoff wheels and that type of stuff. All right guys, so again, this is an Arccaptain Cut 55. I will link to it down in the description below. It's a very affordable machine, especially if you're just doing some metal work like I am and it's just automotive stuff, this would be great. So again, link for this will be down in the description. Link for the fittings, just in case you end up buying it, you know, if they were to not have this switched over or anything yet. So all that stuff will be down in the description. Thank you to Arccaptain for sending this machine out, letting me test it. It's been a great machine. Make sure that you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.